This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. Please check out Natural Care Midwifery, our podcast page, for our full disclaimer. Well, welcome back to More About Birth. I'm here with our hosts, Shannon Bennett and Angie Henson, and it's great to be together. We have done another podcast. We're doing another one because you guys have a birth today.
We are. We're waiting for that call. So we're going to squeeze in a couple podcasts until it's time for us to leave for our labor.
And we're with you. We are hanging out at our houses, and we were just talking about how much social contact is important these days. So what's our topic today, Shannon?
I want to do something positive. So I wanted to talk about how when there is a crisis like this, how people just step up and come together. There are so many positive things going on right now in our own local community. In fact, my heart is just really full because I had no idea it would end up this way. But I just put out on Facebook to a couple of the groups like the Granola Clan and the Mamas Supporting Mamas group, a few different places.
We need to start a Tea People Facebook
Tea
group.
People.
Yeah, for sure.
We
Share the love.
We should share the love.
Tea People. Okay, so I just put this out there. I thought, we're being asked from our powers that be above the midwives to do virtual visits, which that's kind of hard to do when you can't listen to the baby with a Doppler. You can't measure the belly. You can't do a urine stick, take a blood pressure.
But obviously cutting down as much contact as you possibly can. Yeah.
Cutting down some of the interaction, which is good for pregnant mamas.
Right.
So we decided we'd do this positive thing and we would ask for equipment that we needed so that we could package it up with a Doppler, blood pressure cuff, a urine stick, everything that they would need to be able to help me to do a visit with them at home over, FaceTime or over the phone, Skype, whatever they have. So I was completely overwhelmed. Within 24 hours, we had 16 Dopplers,
and a Doppler,
almost that many blood pressure cuffs.
And a Doppler, for those that don't know, I didn't really know what a Doppler was until that day.
It's a little device to listen to baby's heartbeat.
Keith, how long have you been living?
I know.
How long have you been married to a midwife?
Can I just say this? I'm like every human out there. I recognize the words, but that doesn't mean that I know what they mean.
Know what they are.
I mean, a Doppler is definitely part of the conversation in our household, but I didn't know how.
Just smile and nod.
Yeah, just smile and nod. Yeah, just like you and I were talking about in between podcasts, is that sometimes when we don't get it or it's not something we're passionate about, we just smile and nod. So what was the result? So, I remember this was crazy.
Now that you interrupted me.
Sorry.
So we had all of these donations, people texting in, calling me, Facebooking, Messenger, email saying,
amazing.
Hey, I've got a Doppler, I've got a blood pressure cuff, or,
That's awesome.
Even some people were donating them, just flat out donating, not just loaning.
That's cool.
So we went and put together a list of all these people and where everybody lived, got their addresses, and we made a day, Monday, a couple weeks ago, where we were just going to hit the whole Tri-Cities and just stop and pick up all these things. And shout out to Hallie, one of my birth assistants, who
Way to go.
took half the list and hit that. And Keith and I took the other half of the list and picked up all these things. So we got together and disinfected everything, packaged it up, numbered everything so we know what belonged to who. And then I even have parents who have taken a couple of the kits home to their house so that people central to that area don't have to drive as far to pick it up on their porch. So everybody just came together. And because of this, my pregnant mamas that are able to do virtual visits over the phone or Skype, they're able to have the tools that they need so we can do a full prenatal visit.
That's a great idea. So they can check the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's been kind of fun. I think they've enjoyed actually, being more a part of that because we'll talk about, I'll have them stand up and show me how big is their belly and how many finger widths it is from their belly button high. And, walk them through listening to the heart tones, and then they've got their urine test strip.
Yeah, no, I love it because tend to not be a tech person, and I love in person so much more than I don't do really well with Skype and Zoom and all these things. But I was thinking about that aspect that it's gonna make people visualize this so much more and take charge of their care, and I love that.
Take
I just
responsibility.
Think,
I love it.
It kind of demystifies the whole caregiver thing.
Yeah,
It's makes it like I'm the caregiver.
I know.
Of my
I thought,
baby.
oh no, maybe they won't think they need me anymore.
I know, right? Yeah. I doubt it. But it's super cool to.
It's been
for
awesome
people to have to do that.
And thank you, everyone that donated. I am just amazed. And so we have some behind the scenes footage of collecting this equipment and putting it together. And
I got to follow you around again in the car with a camera.
Keith in the car with a camera again.
Keeping you safe and making sure that we were getting all the equipment, and we labeled it, and Holly came by and we got
it was awesome. So at the end of this podcast, you will see some behind the scenes footage of that. So you might want to tune into the YouTube channel for this one.
Yeah. But
I just wanted to share some of the really cool positive things that have been going on in our community. And one of the fun things is that in our neighborhood, we have a neighborhood Facebook group. And so they posted on the Facebook group. We have a lot of teachers in our neighborhood. And so I think they're going through withdrawal. They're coming up with all these awesome things for us to do. So each week we have a different theme. So we had bears and dinosaurs. And I think this week is flowers. I'm going to have to look at my list. But you put a picture or an item up in your window. And then when people take their restless children out for a walk to get them out of the house, they do a scavenger hunt. And they look for all these signs or pictures in the windows of the houses in the neighborhood. Cute. And then we're having an Easter egg hunt where each house will put out hidden Easter eggs in their front yard. And then the families will bring their children out to choose one egg out of the yard.
Yep.
And they're just finding really creative ways to do things with the situation that we're in. I'm seeing things online in a lot of the mama groups where they're posting, hey, I've got diapers this size. I've got extra wipes. I've got baby formula that I'm not going to use. Anybody need it? Come pick up on the porch.
That's cool.
And one of our the podcasts that I follow, or YouTuber I follow, he's been on every single day. He even came up with a project yesterday that take a picture that kind of represents how you feel right now about being separated from other people. And I did tater tots and a smiley face all separated on a pan.
Seriously, he did.
I did a smiley face on tater tots. I had fun. It just really helped me, have a good moment. And it was great.
Tater tots.
Anyway.
So I'm just seeing a lot more neighbors helping neighbors. I know we joke with my mom because she's always had like a surplus of things. And she found out that somebody needed toilet paper and couldn't find it. So, porch drop toilet paper. So I love that everybody's helping everyone.
Yeah.
We've got people in the community sewing masks. We have Joanne Fabrics giving out free fabric for the people that are sewing the masks. Right. A biggie is families spending time together. Mm-hmm. We're so busy all the time that we do not spend time together.
Yeah. Right.
Is that something that's changed for you guys?
Honestly, our schedule has not changed a lot because Johnny is still working pretty much the same hours. But I know that a lot of families totally are. And I would just super encourage everybody to really safeguard that time. Because, we don't know how long this is going to last. And if it's quick, Lord willing, once things go back to normal,
Lord we willing, might look and the creek back don't rise.
Yes. We might look back on this time and just think, oh, I wish I would have done this. So I just super encourage everybody to make the most of that family time. Really put your phone aside and turn some things off and be present with your kids and your spouse.
Board games, bake cookies.
Yeah, and Shannon,
be all there, be all in with them.
And Shannon, when we go on a vacation, our big joke is that you're going to milk it for every single thing you can. I mean, if you ever go on vacation with us, Angie, where we're going, like when we went to the Red Rocks and flew into Phoenix and then left, went this whole trip. Shannon had every day planned out.
I will wear them out.
Yeah. So if you want to cram as much as you possibly can, maybe Shannon can give you the list of how she does that. But so plan, man, just take advantage of it. I've tried to take advantage of the home time and just really do stuff.
Keith says to me the other day, he goes, we hardly spend any time together anymore, even though we're in the same house together.
Well, no, that's exactly what
it's true.
mean. Like everyone's home, but I think because everyone's online, it's almost like your time is even more fragmented than before because you don't know where to like parse it and how to safeguard it. So figure it out, safeguard it.
And if you're going to tune in, I mean, if you're home as a family, you're going to tune in to something like a press conference with the president, do it together as a family and then process it together rather than, tuning in on your YouTube on your phone. And then 4 hours later, you think your wife knows what you're talking about, which happened to Shannon and I. It's just good. Good to watch it together. So.
Right. Yep.
There's something really exciting too I've seen on social media is the support for our medical providers and our grocery store workers. People are applauding them. They're parking outside and honking and holding up signs just telling them how much they're appreciated. In fact, I know you are really a big one on supporting small business and local business in the United States, and that's been a biggie too. People are really stepping up and encouraging everybody, support your local business so these people don't go out of business.
Yeah.
We still need the stuff that we normally get. We just have to figure out creative ways of getting it. So, I mean, I still want a coffee if I can have a coffee. So, if we can come up with some creative ideas, then we can keep these businesses going.
Well, I know a lot of people have taken turns supporting these small businesses, purchasing catered meals and taking them and having them delivered to the hospitals because some of the doctors and nurses are just really busy.
Yeah. You know how cool it feels? It's like we all love the holidays, right? Because there's so many cool emotions, right? And so how cool is it when you deliver a meal to a neighbor, right? Rather than some guy they don't know going and getting for him. How cool would it be to just deliver a meal to them and knock on the door or plant it and just say, hey, here it is, drop the bag. It just feels great to give gifts during these times.
One of my moms yesterday for her prenatal, she was telling me how, what do you call it? A DoorDash?
A DoorDash.
Where you drop something and run.
Yeah, you ring the doorbell like our UPS guy.
Yeah, and then run. So they were going to drop off some cookies or something to a neighbor, and she and the kids dropped it on the doorstep, rang the doorbell, and then ran. And she just cracked up laughing. She goes, you should have seen it. She goes, I can't run anymore.
Oh, no, yeah.
It's classic, yeah. People are responding in amazing ways when you look at what's going on out there.
I think it makes us feel good as humans to feel like there's something we can do to participate.
Yeah.
Right.
I know like a lot of the churches are gathering food and having like drive-through food boxes that they're handing out.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's just a lot of stuff going on that's positive.
One of my favorite things, I had some things I was doing yesterday, and all of a sudden I get this alert from Jeff Dunham, who's seems like be the world's favorite ventriloquist, right? And he's behind the scenes showing how he makes his puppets in his shop with his boys.
People seem to be sharing of themselves more.
Yeah, so you can go see
Free
more behind the
concerts.
scenes. It's fascinating. I actually did a blog about it yesterday because I thought it was so cool.
And speaking of free, before we go to the break, there are a lot of free online childbirth classes right now.
Right.
So you guys, you've got this extra time. Watch them.
Yeah. We've even been talking about doing your natural pain relief for labor class.
In a few weeks, I have a natural pain relief for labor class scheduled and a childbirth class. And we're trying to figure out a way to do that online so that anyone who wants to can participate.
Yeah. So
and we'll keep you updated on that. So are we ready for a break?
Yeah. So thank you for tuning in to this first half today of More About Birth. We have lots more exciting things to tell you when we get back from the break, and we'll be right back. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. Please check out Natural Care Midwifery, our podcast page, for our full disclaimer. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. Please check out Natural Care Midwifery, our podcast page, for our full disclaimer. Well, welcome back to More About Birth. We're back from the break. And Angie, what are you doing over there? Is that dark chocolate and
peanut butter?
Peanut butter.
They make
Organic.
They make these things called Reese's.
Yeah, I was going to say that's Reese's Pieces or Reese's.
This
no
is
sugar.
Sugar-free, people.
Oh, wow.
Organic, sugar-free.
Won't compromise your immune system.
Food on the go.
Wow.
All right.
Okay. So
Only Angie.
For those of you that want a snack, bring your snack to the podcast today.
So we were talking about some positive things that have been happening in our world, which is not the norm on the news. So one thing that I thought was super cool, doulas. If you don't know what a doula is, you want to explain what a doula is? Do you get the peanut butter out of your get the peanut butter out of your teeth?
Where's the milk? Yeah, a doula is a person that helps another person through labor. They can be certified or just like a lay person, but if they are well trained, they can help with pain relief. They help with tips and tricks for moving labor along. They help with focusing. They're just kind of this angel of love and grace who comes and helps your labor and birth.
Well,
along.
and people may not know that's where Shannon started. You started
I was first a doula,
yeah, because you were passionate about being there for moms.
Yeah.
And with what's going on right now, a lot of the hospitals are limiting who can go in with mamas when they have a baby. They're limiting it to one support person. In New York, they were actually saying nobody but mama in. So we have some incredible doulas that have figured out a way to be a virtual doula. Maybe take your iPad to the hospital with you, and your virtual doula will be there with you the entire time, encouraging you, showing you things you can do to speed labor along, and all the awesome, wonderful things that she does. Evidence-based birth, if you go to evidence-based or ebbbirth.com, you can find a list of doulas that have volunteered to do this.
That's cool.
That's amazing.
I just read something yesterday about insurance companies, like medical mainstream insurance companies that are waiving their copays for people who are being treated for the virus. Everybody's trying to help in their own special way.
Well, isn't it true that in times like this, we're more open to look at the people that are positively responding? It's I think that's a great shift because it's motivating people. It's like putting this social pressure that's positive on people to say, you got to do something. If you are a restaurant, do something. If you are a medical or a bank, I mean, even I'm getting emails from the bank saying that they're going to waive how many purchases you have to make before you have a fee. That, I think, is some of the positives that we're not hearing enough about. And I applaud some of the news people out there that have done interviews with people who have recovered, obviously, from the virus, as well as reporting on people out in the community, letting nurses actually vent online about how they have fears and all that stuff, give them an opportunity to be encouraged and applauding people. It's been amazing.
It's raining. I mean,
We're
it is
having a
raining.
shower.
Yeah, we're having a rainstorm.
Actually, it's hailing.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah.
This is what's going on with our apocalypse that we're having. I heard there was a tornado.
There was. I saw a
and I
picture.
heard there was an earthquake.
Yeah, we had an earthquake.
Japan.
We had an earthquake. We had a 6.3 earthquake in Idaho, and our my nephew and my niece and her husband texted us.
Yeah.
And then a tornado touched down in Richland. It was like more of one of those halfway between a dust devil and
twister, but it was tall.
Yeah.
It was really tall.
And the hail came and went. So nice to say hi to hail.
There it is.
Hail the hail.
Something really cool, and I know you homeschool your kids. I did once upon a time, but normally you have to pay to access a lot of the learning tools and the curriculum, the online things. Right now, almost every company is offering some kind of a free trial, or we've got museums, natural history museums that are offering free virtual tours. We have zoos that are offering virtual tours. There's just all kinds of stuff going on.
And it was funny. I was on Zoom, which a lot of people are using to do, meetings and all that. And they have a free version, and then you can have unlimited people for 40 minutes. And so we jumped off and back on again. And then just out of the blue, they gave us unlimited time, which is not normal. Yeah. So they just said, hey, they actually have an algorithm now where they're giving people unlimited time. It looks like if they have to jump back on a meeting, which is amazing.
Do you guys watch Disney movies much with the kids?
We have.
Yeah. Do you have, what's it called? Disney Plus?
Yeah. No. Disney Plus. Yeah.
No, we don't.
So apparently they released the new Frozen movie even early onto Disney Plus for free for people to watch. There's a lot of stuff going on. I've seen people on Facebook like offering free art classes, virtual classes for the kids.
Right.
There's just a lot
and
of stuff.
some of the movies have been released that were going to be in theaters that were actually playing in theaters have been released already on Apple TV and all that stuff, so families can watch. I've noticed discounts and just some incredible stuff. Artists on social media doing free concerts.
It's great. This one really blew my mind, though. There has been a huge increase in people applying to be foster parents.
That's awesome.
Throughout this thing.
That's amazing. Now, why is that, do you think? Where's that coming from?
I don't know for sure, but my thought would be that the concern for kids who are shut up at home in bad situations, the parents are under more stress or might be a greater need after this is all over or in the middle of it. And I know our social workers are working overtime right now.
Well, and some families that do foster care may have, a number of kids, and this is just going to relieve some of the pressure because they get asked to take a brother or a sister. And, our story with our daughter, Nicole, who ended up adopting 3 kids from the same family. Yeah. So I'm sure that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I applaud
amazing.
you if you're doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if I mentioned it in the first part, but they have actually special hours for seniors and pregnant women in a lot of the grocery stores, pharmacies, things, so that they can shop with less exposure to other people because they're higher risk.
Right.
And the other thing too, I don't know, we've talked about this, but there are, like for instance, churches can't gather right now and they're doing live.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that.
They're doing live events. I think that's amazing. They're doing Zoom. I noticed that more phone calls I've talked to some of my friends and more phone calls are going out. They're getting more calls from people from their churches or organizations. And there's even some athletic places where people are going to exercises that are now connecting with people, and there's free yoga classes and so
free workouts.
Yeah, so you may feel disconnected, but these people are now making an attempt to reconnect, like the doulas, which is amazing.
Are you familiar with what your neighbors are doing on YouTube, the exercise program with the kids?
Yes.
Tell us about that. I thought that was awesome. Yeah.
Taz is blowing up, people.
Yeah.
What's Taz?
Taz is Tom, Axton, and Zavion.
Okay.
Right? Taz, yes. Tom, Axton, and Zav. They've been wanting to do it for years, and now this is the perfect time. And it's a fitness program for kids that is
dad and two sons.
Yes. Super goofy, off the charts. It's a ton of fun. And people are eating it up.
Yeah. They even interviewed them, didn't they, on one of the radio stations?
He's been on the news twice. He's going to be on the news again this week. Yeah. So people are loving it.
Yeah, guys.
People are getting creative.
Yeah, strike while the iron's hot. I think we forget that when things shift and change, that's where creativity can shift and change as well. And I think those are great ideas. I love the little obstacle course that some parent put out for his little toddler, and the YouTube video. It was just incredible. This kid's doing this whole obstacle course over pieces of furniture and jumping around and landing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So creativity right now, I think, is super important.
Yeah, there's been a lot of creative ideas that people are doing to raise money for medical supplies. What are you guys doing at your church right now? Do you have any online services or anything going on? I know that almost every church is doing something.
Yeah, they're broadcasting the sermon live each week, and they're doing the youth group is online. They're doing a midweek church-wide meeting online, which is new. They weren't doing that before. So yeah, it's really interesting the way, in some ways people are more isolated, but in some ways people are actually connecting more.
I agree.
And getting to know each other more because of the unusual circumstances.
And I think podcasts right now is one of the perfect things to just take stress off. I know, Shannon, you tune into some podcasts when you're getting ready in the morning, and I just think it's just a great way. I have an appointment tomorrow with a leader, just talking about some of the tools and maybe giving some advice on how to use some of the streaming tools that I know about now. And I had a group of guys together on Sunday that I could do Zoom with, which was amazing. So this has kind of been a catalyst for us as well to be creative.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah, you just kind of change your thinking. But I'm blown away at the generosity of our local community and even the things that I'm seeing that are positive. Yeah. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a story I read about a missionary in China when this thing first broke out. she had mentioned how she was complaining to her husband every day about, oh, we're stuck at home, we're this, we're that.
Right.
Yeah.
Bother with this and bother with that. And he looked at her one day and said, what positive has come out of this? What can you think of that is positive? And she wrote a blog on all the positive things that had come out of this. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
She talked about the fact that in the community they lived in an apartment complex where they were actually having to have food dropped off to them because they weren't even allowed to go out. The way that, you know, someone would want to bake cookies, but they were missing an ingredient. And so someone else would drop it on their porch. And the fact that she got to know neighbors that she hadn't got to know in the year or so that they'd lived there.
Right.
And communities, like we have our local community here, neighborhood, they have a Facebook page, like you said.
Right.
So I think neighbors can connect like they haven't been before. I think they're more open to it. So you could have a block party with Zoom on live if you wanted to, you know, and I think you could even do game nights. You know, some type of game nights online. If you can't meet in houses, then
I've been reading bedtime stories to my grandkids over FaceTime.
That's
you know,
awesome.
you just get creative.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories. I know one, my mom's mom is in an assisted living home, and they're completely
they're
shut
locked
off.
down. Yeah.
And so she's really, her health isn't really that great, and my mom hasn't been able to see her for weeks. And one of the healthcare providers offered to, and she doesn't have a smartphone. She doesn't know how to do any of this. And he offered to do a FaceTime call with her so that she can connect with her family. And
that's awesome.
So people helping out that way. I know another one of the things that is awesome that our pastor encouraged us to do, to connect with seniors who, maybe some of the most isolated and maybe don't use the same kind of technology that we do. So they're not connecting virtually.
Right.
And he said, this is a great time to leave a note on their door and give them your contact information and say, I will run to the grocery store for you. What do you need meals? What do you need? Because some of those people might be more hands-on and not as apt to get on a smartphone or something. So
and some of us have extra iPads in our house and things like that. So if there's a neighbor next door to you or something like that, man, go over there and give it to them. Find out what their network is, if they have network in their house, and hook it up for them, and then you could FaceTime with them.
I even thought how much fun it would be during this time. I mean, our kids have lost the art of writing letters.
Absolutely. I thought about that too.
I won't tell you which one of my children several years back came to me and said, now, where does the return address go? The stamp goes on the right, doesn't it? Yeah. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not teaching you this in school anymore. We don't write letters. So have your kids write letters to their grandma, to people who are shut in.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
What a surprise.
For sure.
Yeah, it's great.
And this is such a good time to connect with people that maybe you haven't connected with in a while. I know I had a friend contact me that I haven't talked to in years. And just to say, hey, I know you're on the West Coast. I know your state has been hit hard. How are you doing? I just miss you. I want to check up on you. And so such a good time to connect with people that you haven't, and especially remember the people that are maybe seniors and that maybe aren't getting out as much, and maybe go out of your way to give them a phone call and just try to connect with them, write them a letter, send them some pictures, something.
Some great ideas. There's a lot of positive going on, you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Focus on the positive, not the negative.
Accentuate the positive.
Didn't you have words to a song you wanted to read to us?
I got to read this, guys. You got to go look this up because it's an oldie, but
I'll put the link. I'll get it from Angie. We'll put the link up on our YouTube channel.
No, this song, I don't know why it came to mind when we were going to do this podcast, but it is Johnny Mercer, and I'm sure a ton of you are cheering right now and know who this is. And part of the chorus says, we'd better accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and latch on to the affirmative. So
that's awesome.
Go forth and do it.
Go, Angie.
Yay, Johnny Mercer. Yeah. Is that his name?
See you later.
Right?
Well, that's another episode of More About Birth. That's our positive spin on our current reality. Again, we want to give a shout out to everybody on the front lines.
Yes, thank you.
We are so appreciative, as well as the education, everybody learning new protocols, even for the midwives out there and the doulas. And we just appreciate you so much and want to say thank you. And you creative people, go for it, man. This is your
take the opportunity.
moment to shine. So we'll see you here next time on More About Birth. And until then,
See you
thank you
later.
and stay safe. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. Please check out Natural Care Midwifery, our podcast page, for our full disclaimer.